something to.
Almost there, almost there. Eksha, you can speak, Jan.
Ma'am, actually now the problem is now that I'm doing with Hina, it's going I think excellent, but I feel she gives up very easily. I ask her anything, she'll say iska matlab ye hi hai. Like she'll not even make an effort to even try. Even if I ask her for sentence formation, she won't even try. So I don't know how to help her.
Okay, we'll help you with that, Eksha. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. We're live. Let's begin our lesson, and then Eksha, we'll sort that concern out for you. Okay. All right, Rakshita, Rashna, you're on. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rakshita. So the last time we had the last paragraph of this page to finish, but I would, Rakshita, please like to start one paragraph ahead of that, because one of the questions that we're going to ask you later has some information which this paragraph contains. So I'm going to start with the second last paragraph, which says, at this stage, 8 Mount decision. Division, I'm so sorry. Has everybody got it? Yeah? The second last paragraph, I'm going to start reading. Okay? At this stage, 8 Mount Division realized that it would not be possible to evict the enemy from Tiger Hill completely as long as his supply lines along the western spur were intact. Mohinder Puri and MPS Bajwa then issued orders to the 8 Sikh to attack and capture Helmet and India Gate, both located on the western spur, so that enemy reinforcements to Tiger Hill top could be prevented. The move was also intended to cut off the enemy's supply route. So to explain to the kids what is a supply route, they are stranded, they are on top of the hill, right? So obviously they need supplies. They need reinforcements, they need people, they need food, they need water, they need artillery, they need bullets, they need whatever it is that they need, right? So that's a supply line. All right, that's a supply line. Reinforcements are more people coming to help those who are at that point. So clearly more soldiers would come to help those. So they realized that they had to cut off the supply lines. Okay, so now this is the final attack leading to the last battle and to the end of this incident. So the first thing that they gave an order for 8 Sikh to attack and capture Helmet and India Gate. To continue. The western spur of Tiger Hill extended up to 1.5 kilometers. The approach to the spur, where 8 Sikh was deployed, lay along a steep rock face. An ad hoc column of 8 Sikh, led by Major Ravindra Singh and Lieutenant R.K. Sehrawat, comprising 4 JCOs and 52 soldiers, climbed the rock face under poor visibility conditions and was able to capture India Gate after a tough fight. An ad hoc column of people. Ad hoc. People put together when necessary or needed. For example, in Pehchaan, we already thought a lot, asked opinions, and made committees. Final day, food, blah, blue activities, right? Those were fixed committees. But then we suddenly had a new problem and we had to form an ad hoc committee to meet a new challenge. So we just said, okay, you. Oh, I want to volunteer. Lovely. Then you, okay? So when you form a group of people, just randomly or at the last moment, you just put together a group of people. So perhaps out of this regimen, they decided that, okay, you, and you go, right? So this is how they formed it, an ad hoc column comprising these people in poor visibility conditions. Visibility, obviously from vision, poor vision, you can't see, poor visibility, they couldn't see well, perhaps because of various reasons. I'm sure you could come up with a lot of reasons. Perhaps there was fog, perhaps it was dark, all kinds of reasons why you can't see. Okay, so obviously they started the approach with poor visibility conditions, which of course makes it much more difficult for them, but also makes it very difficult for the enemy to see that they are approaching. So it's got a good point and a bad point. In this battle, Subedar Nirmal Singh led the assault platoon. He was engaged in hand to hand fighting till the end and was also responsible for beating back a counter attack. What would be a counter attack? You attack, they counter attack, right? It's like a reply. Okay, we change the page, please. Despite heavy casualties, 8 Sikh exploited its success up to Helmet and captured this objective on 5th July. Despite heavy casualties. Casualties, as we discussed last time, are people getting killed. So, despite some people being killed, the 8 Sikh managed to capture this area on the 5th of July. Okay, Rakshita, would you like to read?
Yes, ma'am. The enemy launched two counterattacks with 40 to 50 personnel, but 8 Sikh fought gallantly and was able to repulse them. Nayab Sar Karnail Singh and Rifleman Saptal Singh, who were a part of the platoon, deployed on the reverse slope of Helmet, showed exceptional courage. In one of these counterattacks, Captain Karnal Sher Khan of the Pakistan Army was killed. His body was subsequently handed over to the Pakistani authorities. Other bodies of the Pakistani soldiers found scattered around the battleground were collected and buried appropriately. The only thing I want to highlight here is the people that are being mentioned here are one of many, and the sole reason why he is mentioning them is because these are the people who exceptionally came forward, took charge, and did not were not afraid to face bullets. In New Delhi, I had remained. Also, sorry,
Just a
there were a
second,
few
Rakshita,
difficult
excuse me,
words.
please.
Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to draw your attention to this. His body was subsequently handed over to the Pakistani authorities. Other bodies found scattered around, etc. Just please remember this because when the chapter is over, I will refer to this later. Thank you. Please continue, Rakshita. Sorry.
No problem, ma'am. Also, there were a couple of difficult words.
Yes.
So, 8-6 fought gallantly. Gallantly means with a lot of courage. Gallant itself is a quality which is looked up to. So, it's basically to have a lot of courage and to have a lot of basically to be fearless. So, they fought gallantly and were able to repulse him, were basically able to reply back. Repulse is, how you have magnets, you attract and you repulse. In this case, repulsion is not letting the coming attack affect them or beat them down completely. Yeah. In New Delhi, I had remained anxious all through the night of 3 July. The next morning, Krishan Pal, GOC 15 Corps, GOC is General Officer in Command. He's basically the higher most officer in that area of 15 Corps, rang up at 600 hours, which is 6 o'clock in the morning, to inform me that 18 grenadiers had captured Tiger Hilltop and also that heavy fighting was going on. After consulting him and Nirmal Chander Vij, we decided to await confirmation from the GOC 8 Mountain Division. At 7:30 hours, Mohinder Puri confirmed to me that the enemy would not be able to dislodge 18 grenadiers from Tiger Hill top. I duly informed Brijesh Mishra, who is an Indian diplomat, basically to communicate with the rest of the world, and the Prime Minister, who was scheduled to address a public meeting in Haryana at 1000 hours, that is 10 o'clock. The Defense Minister was on his way to Amritsar when he had landed at the airport. I gave him this exciting news. Ma'am, would you like to take it from here?
Yeah, sure. So, just one thing, told me that the enemy would not be able to dislodge the 18 grenadiers from Tiger Top. So 18 grenadiers, that's the Indian Army, the platoon of the Indian Army has captured Tiger Tops. And the news is that the enemy will not be able to dislodge them. They will not be able to move them. They will not be able to send them off from there. So that's victory, right? The date 4th July 1999 was important for one more reason. Nawaz Sharif, everyone knows, Prime Minister of Pakistan at that time, Nawaz Sharif was due to meet the US President Bill Clinton later in the day. About 10 to 15 hours before their meeting, we made sure that the whole world came to know about the recapture of Tiger Hill and thus the likely outcome of the war. For some time, Pakistan even denied the existence of such mountain feature and labeled the entire operation as a figment of our imagination. The loss of Tiger Hill was a hard physical and psychological blow. In India, wave of jubilation and relief replaced the gloomy mood of the people. So, Pakistan denied the existence of such mountain feature. They denied that such a geographical feature even exists. And they denied that they were ever there or there was any conflict. It was a figment of our imagination. Please ask your mentees this. What is a figment of our imagination, a figment of your imagination? Okay. If it means that you're just imagining something that is not real, something that has not actually happened. It can also be in a more personal sense. If Mohammed calls me up and says, ma'am, you're upset with me, what has happened? And I say, no, Mohammed, I'm not upset with you. I'm not asking you questions, or not because I'm upset with you. It is just a figment of your imagination. Okay. So just to like that, just to give it like a personal context so that you all can easily explain. So Pakistan claimed that India had just dreamt of this. It is a figment of their imagination. They have just imagined this whole conflict, which in fact did not exist at all. So, according to the author, it is because it was a hard physical and psychological blow to Pakistan. So, therefore, they did not want to admit. India, on the other hand, was a wave of jubilation and relief. Of course, relief if the enemy has been thrown out of your country, it is obviously relief. They are out, you are back to where you were, your soldiers are safe, and the country is safe. Jubilation is like a joyous celebration. So obviously, the whole country was joyful. Next page, please, Rakshita. Like to read?
Yes. On 8th July, after the entire Tiger Hill objective had been declared and the situation stabilized, 18 grenadiers hoisted the Indian tricolor on the Tiger Hill top. Throughout this tenure, in the nearly 2-month long war, the battalion acquitted itself with high professionalism and honor, displaying unshakable determination and collective valor. All its members covered themselves with the glory and notched up two of the finest victories of Indian Army. After the war, as the battalion requested a UN mission, Army headquarters sent it to Syria, Lebanon, West Africa. There too, the battalion successfully carried out a major rescue operation, Operation Kukri, sorry. A couple of words. After the after the objective had cleared, the objective basically removing the enemies, and the situation has stabilized in the sense we had taken all the people that were injured from our side to the hospital. That's when they hoisted the tricolor flag, and so they had a 2-month long tenure. How so? Because they had just fought another battle, as we read, and then they came and they fought this battle. So hence they won two wars, and One of the things that units basically request as a reward is to get a UN mission posting. The sole reason being is if you get posted abroad, there's a huge amount of money that comes to, like, that every soldier gets extra, which is a UN allowance, which is really good because you get it in dollars. So that's why they requested a UN mission as an award, and they went to Africa where most Indian units go. And thereafter, there also they had carried out a successful operation. Tenure is basically the duration of time a unit a unit or certain number of people are deployed at a particular place. Mostly it's longer, but here because they were fighting for the entire time, they were posted to a better place soon. Notch up, here it says to achieve, but a notch up is basically to increase in a level. So increase by a notch. Notch basically comes from the buckles in your belt.
Hmm.
So how you have your belt and you have these small holes where you put in the buckle of your belt. That's a notch. So a notch up is okay. I reduced a lot of weight, and now I'm a notch up. So I'm happy. So that is getting a notch up. That's where the phrase comes from. Notch up is basically increase a level. You can also, they have simplified it to make it to achieve because it fits here. I think that's it, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you. I'll just draw your attention, please. Indian tricolor. The word tricolor has been used in a GK class. So please, tri means 3, bi means 2, both done in GK class. So please, they have seen the tricolor of Italy, and they have also associated it with the Indian tricolor. Also, I think in the chapter on the summit, right? When they reach the top, and they also put up the Indian flag. So tricolor, 3 colors. And so our Indian flag is a tricolor. And you may ask them which other country you've learned in GK. And if I'm very lucky, they'll remember and tell you it's Italy. Yeah. Sorry? Europe? They'll say, okay. So yeah, that's what. And to add to what Rakshita said about when you're posted on UN mission, I'm sure, Rakshita, it's also quite a prestigious thing. And keeping that in mind, they say professionalism and honor. And I'm so proud to say that our Indian Army is really known for their honor and for how extremely honorably they conduct themselves in all scenarios. Which is why I wanted to come back to this line. His body was subsequently handed over to the Pakistani authorities. Other bodies of the Pakistani soldiers found scattered around the battleground were collected and buried appropriately. Now, when in any kind of war, certain international laws prevail, and all armies or navies or military are supposed to observe these laws for even the enemies, the so-called enemies or the opposing forces. This is in blanket terms called something called the Geneva Convention. It has been around for ages. Yes, Akshika has heard of it. Thank you so much. The Geneva Convention is a pool of treaties and protocols. This is more for you all than for the mentees, please. A pool of treaties and protocols which have come, which have evolved over many, many years. So as the world has gone, has progressed, the Geneva Convention, more and more treaties and protocols have been added to this. So in essence, what is it? It is laws to set out humanitarian standards. Humanitarian standards. How do you treat your enemy after you have defeated your enemy? How do you treat prisoners of war? You understand the words prisoners of war. How do you treat the wounded and the sick, even though they are your enemy? And how do you treat the dead, even though they are your enemy? Once a man or woman has died, they are not your enemy. They are dead, right? So what are the basic humanitarian, what shall I say, values that we must carry to treat. These have all been set down in the Geneva Convention. So happy to say here, his body was handed over to those who, the country to whom it belongs, to handed to their own military, right? Those who cannot be handed over have to be given a proper burial according to the way they want to be buried, right? You do not dishonor. After all, he is also a soldier. He is also worthy of honor. He was also there fighting for his country. It is not a personal vendetta, right? This was a man as honorable to his country as our soldiers were honorable and duty bound to ours, right? So this is the Geneva Convention. And this is something I'm so again proud to say that our Indian military has always stood by, right? So this also is for prisoners of war and other. Of course, there have been innumerable instances of when countries have flouted the Geneva Convention and they have tortured and they have treated staff, prisoners of war, and treated them abominably. Also, they have treated captured soldiers abominably, but these are violations of the Geneva Convention. All right. Thank you. And sorry, I just asked my husband who has studied international law. So what can you do about it? And mostly you can't do anything about it. It's up to your values and ethics, how much you stay on the humanitarian path or you don't. Thank you. And we'll go on to the questions, please. The questions have also been posted on the group. And Rakshita, is it possible to put, yes, please.
I'll put the questions in the chat box, ma'am.
Sorry?
I'll put the questions in the chat
Please,
box.
if you could, however,
Yes,
it is in the chat. It is, I've put it on the chat. So if you all want to look at it, that's fine.
Yes, ma'am, I had a doubt actually.
Please.
What is the meaning of the phrase obtain a toehold?
Obtain a toehold. Great. Okay. Now, supposing you're out, you're pushing, the door is closed, right? And you are pushing from one side, and that person from the other side is also blocking you and not allowing you to enter. You open the door a small bit and you put your foot in the middle. You barely get your toe into the door. And then you've managed to open the door and then you can push and get in and achieve your goal. That is literally getting a toe hold, right? In. So when you're trying to do something and you even make the slightest progress, you've got a toe hold. Okay, so even you're trying like crazy to get through to your mentee in English, and it's not happening, and it's not happening, and it's not happening. And then one fine day, she just turns around and says, "Hi, I got it." Okay. Or she gives you some little answer, and you just got a toe hold. You just managed to get it. Okay. So great. Rakshita, you're putting it in the chat box. Great. So if you put anything up, whatever you like up first, as you like.
I have put all the questions up on the
You put them all up. Okay.
Yes.
So then let's me also please go into the chat box. And yeah. So can everybody see this, please? I don't know, for some reason mine is coming really small. Okay. So I said that the Tiger Hills is a story based on fact. The important word here is fact. It is a first-person account of events. What is meant by a first-person account? I want to say this for two reasons. What is meant by a first-person account, and also what is the first person? In grammar, we go on saying the first person, the second person, and sometimes I think people are confused. So would anyone like to tell me this first-person account? Yes, Kuchi.
Yes,
In grammar, first person basically means I and you.
Perfect.
And so a first person account would be an account of a person who was there at that moment and saw whatever was happening and wrote about it.
Super. A person was actually there and therefore wrote about it. What do we mean when we say a story is factual? Anyone? I can't see everybody, so just unmute and speak, please.
It is based on facts.
Exactly. It's based on facts. Okay. The story is factual. It's based on facts. What is the opposite of fact? A story is based on fact. Yes, please.
Ma'am, either lie or
Fiction. That's right. A story is based on fiction. Yes, fact and a lie. But when we are talking about a story, a fact and a fiction. So what do you mean by fiction? Just a very simple explanation. What do we mean by fiction?
Something which is imaginary or made up.
Beg your pardon, I can't hear.
Something which is imaginary or made up.
Yes, perfect. Something which is imaginary. I'm just increasing my volume. Just give me a second, please. Thank you. Something that is imaginary or made up. As most stories are, right? Imaginary or made up. So that is fiction. But this kind of thing is based on fact. So from the chapters we have read this term, and this is the last chapter, which ones would you say are based on fact and which are not? Okay. Which ones would you say are based on fact and which ones would you not? And just to remind you, I will give you the list of the prose chapters. The first one was Being Neighborly, right? It was from a novel called Little Women. Everyone remember that? Fact or fiction?
not. It wasn't
Not a-
factual, ma'am.
Fiction, exactly. Fiction, right? It's the author's imagination. Perfect. On to the summit. We reach the top.
Fact.
Fact. Excellent. Because Tenzing Norgay was actually there, right? And he is one of the first people amongst the two people to reach the top. All of the soil.
Fact.
Fact. Yes, excellent. Fact. Mr. Venkat Iyer actually left Mumbai to go and live in Peth, and this is his story. This is a good way of also making them recollect what has gone before. Mrs. Addis.
Fact.
Sorry?
It was a fact.
No, beta, it was not. It was a story. Yeah, it was a fiction. It was a short story. Yeah. I mean, she did it so well, you may think that she was actually there. Yeah, but it was fiction. And the last, Tiger Hills.
Fact.
Fact. Exactly. Because again, you know well that this person, the author, General Ved Prakash Malik, was actually there at Tiger Hills. Excellent. So now we got fact and fiction, something new to teach them also, and it's a concept, so a new concept. Okay.
We also have pillars of democracy. So even it is factual, right?
Yeah.
Like it
But
is
you know,
from a
pillars of democracy, I agree, based on fact. But you know, it's more an article than a story. You know, it's not a story. It's more of an article. So therefore, I don't think this fact or fiction, it is more his opinion and his views. Of course, you're absolutely right. He's based it on facts which exist in our country and in our society, like the caste system and other facts, which are absolutely true and real to us. But it is an article. And then his opinion about what he thinks is right and what is. Okay, to continue, this is actually the next question, but I think in typing it's just come up here. It's actually the next question. Imagine you are a journalist interviewing the author. What questions would you ask him? Imagine you are, yeah, please.
So usually soldiers aren't like soldiers are just given orders and they're like go do this. They aren't asked their opinions of things that they are made to do. So I would want to ask author about his opinion on whatever is happening.
Okay, you would like to ask him his opinion. Okay. About the mission, or would you like to ask him his opinion in general? That do you often question your orders, or do you want to ask him that was it a good idea to defend Tiger Hill? I mean, what would you want to be asking?
Both, I guess.
Both in a way. Okay, excellent. Anybody else? What would you like to ask? Yes.
Ma'am, one thing, in composition, there is a segment known as questionnaire. So they have to give out 8 sentences with questions, and they have to write that in a paper, like in their paper. So we can tell them that, like how they have to write it. First, they have to give a brief summary that, hello, sir. It's like grammar. So we can show them and, tell them to give out 8 sentences.
You mean to frame the question?
Yes, to frame 8 questions.
Yeah, yeah,
That is
great. Great, great. Let them learn how to frame questions and let them put them down clearly. Good idea. And please show them the use of the question mark, because punctuation for some reason is totally lost on many of these kids. Yeah. How would you like to ask? Like, tell them, make them frame the question. Very good idea, Mohammed. Thank you. Some other questions as a journalist. Please explain to them the word journalist. Some know, some don't.
Ma'am, may
Yes, please.
what is it you wanted to teach everybody by this chapter?
Oh, lovely. Okay, very good. What did you want to teach people by this chapter? What message did you hope to give? Why did you write this down? All right. Lovely. Some other questions?
What were you feeling because you were involved? So how were you feeling?
Excellent. How are you feeling?
Ma'am,
Again,
I
how are you feeling could be so many questions, right, Satyam? Like, what do you feel when you're in battle? How do you feel when you succeed? How do you feel when you know that you have been partly responsible for other people losing their lives? I mean, there must be a lot of feelings going on here in any soldier's mind, right?
How do they
Yes,
feel
ma'am.
about the media covering it live?
Oh, great question.
That
How do
is
they
my
think about that?
point.
Yeah, I personally would have hated it, but yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. You're held up to scrutiny, public scrutiny, right? By people who I have no idea if they even semi understand the conditions that you're working in. So great question. How did you feel to be held up, to be shown live on media?
Ma'am,
Great.
even I have a question.
Yes, please.
So as a first person for the situation, as an
Yes.
author, how you brought yourself to write down your whole journey, what you had witnessed.
Yes, great, 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 great.
Ma'am, one thing we could ask them would be that, so during, we read that the weather conditions were very, very bad and they weren't even expecting the army, Pakistan army, the group of people who had captured the hill were not even expecting that soldiers could climb up, that anybody could climb up such a steep part and get there. So
Yes.
how did they what was in their mind that kept them going through the worst weather conditions?
Superb, superb. Yeah. So what was going on in their mind at that time? What was that something that was driving them and giving them this huge level of commitment to their goal? Superb. Very good. Very good. Lovely. So I think we have, yes,
Ma'am,
please.
uh, what development happened in the army because of this success?
Okay, great. Right, great. Great. Superb. So I think all our questions are really good. They're insightful. And whatever they give you, perhaps you could help them along with some of the questions that we put here today. And you could open up any kind of discussion, because I'm sure they will also have their own points of view. Great. Okay, so the next one is from the chapter, find the opposites of the words. Okay, the opposites are in the chapter, okay? So they've got to find it from the chapter. We've given them the opposite of the word in the chapter. Okay, now I realize the chapter is not in front of you. So if you're having a problem, I will give you the words. We'll discuss the meanings, and we'll also try to make simple sentences amongst ourselves so that you know the context and then you can take it forward with your mentee. So the first one is accepted. So I think just normal.
Denied, I guess.
Denied, brilliant. Yeah. So you accept an order, you deny an order, right? You accept an invitation, you may deny a person. You may accept. Yeah. Another word would also be denied is the correct word from the chapter, but we could also use decline, we could use reject, right? Those would also be correct in English, but of course, as Satyam says, the word from the chapter is denied. Okay, so the second word is despondency. Now that's the word given in the guide, so I'm just going to stick with it because sometimes these questions are just lifted exactly as they are, as you know. Despondent, to be despondent is to have low spirits, right? You have loss of hope, you have loss of courage, you're feeling low because something that you don't like has happened. That is the meaning of being despondent. Okay, something went wrong, you're despondent. Despondently, that's when you're feeling sad, you're feeling down. Now we want the opposite word from the chapter, and just to give you a clue,
Is
this
it
is what India was
jubilation?
feeling. Yes, it's jubilation, Satyam. Thank you so much. He's got it open in front of him. Thank you for keeping it open in front of you and looking. It's jubilation, right? Jubilation is when you're feeling very celebratory, like perhaps we were feeling after Pehchaan Junction went off so well. I certainly was feeling that way. It was a state of jubilation, which is the noun, or the whole atmosphere of jubilation, right? When something has gone off very well, when you've done very well in your exams and you've got good results, you can identify with those who have done really well. There must have been a feeling of jubilation in their homes and in their family. Okay. Cowardice is the word, is the opposite word. Cowardice is the opposite word. And obviously,
Gallantly.
cowardice comes from what? Coward.
Valor.
Valor. Excellent. Valor, bravery.
What about
Yeah.
gallantly?
Valor. Yes, gallantly. Valor would be the best of the options. The most correct option would be valor. And the other one is ordered. I don't mean ordered in a restaurant, to order somebody to do something. I'm not very happy with this with this antonym. I think it's a bit silly, but now it's there. So like they ordered the soldiers. So to order someone, and on the opposite, they've said requested. Okay, so you order somebody, or at the opposite, you can request somebody to do something. So obviously in the army, orders are given. It is not a request because it's not open to yes or no, right? The answer is always yes. So the opposite is requested. So we can have very simple sentences with this. Does anyone have any issues with any of these? You want to do sentences, or if you're fine with it, we can just go on. Good. Rakshita, there was a fourth thing which I had actually taken from the digest, which I've put up on the
Yes,
group.
ma'am.
You
I
know,
will
put
share
the events in the correct order. Can you just put it up in some
Yes.
way? I have no idea. Yes. Yeah, perfect. And this is nice and big. Rewrite the given statements in the order of their occurrence, which is why I started that one paragraph earlier. Okay, so these were the things that happened at the last attack on Tiger Hill when they got it. So these were, just please don't go into the next question at all. So we need to put them in order of occurrence. So if anybody can help me with that, please.
I think C happened first during the ferocious artillery duels. The grenadiers hung on their precarious perch with great determination.
But there was something before that. First, the order was given, right? That's why I had gone one. Yeah. The first, which is number one.
The bodies of the Pakistani soldiers were collected.
No, love, how can that be first? First they have to attack, no?
I think the first option was
Yes, the first one is the first. 8th Sikh was ordered to attack and capture Helmet and India Gate, right? That was the paragraph that we started reading today. It was that. Then in the
So,
second paragraph was the second one.
One second,
Yes.
please. Ma'am, I think 8-6 was ordered after this because they were fighting on the top. So they wanted to close the supply line.
That's right.
So then they were ordered, I guess.
Yes, ma'am. Satyam is right. It was 18 grenadiers that hung on to their precarious perch which is the paragraph just above the one that we started with. The word
Okay,
precarious
okay.
is there.
So C is the first
And
one, is
then,
it?
yes, ma'am. C is the
Okay.
first one, then comes it.
Okay, sorry. So C is the first one. Okay. Then what would be the second one?
A.
8-6
A.
were ordered to attack.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Then how will we go?
E.
Then
Equality.
according to me,
ad hoc
it
column.
was an ad hoc column of Sikh
Yeah.
and yeah? Yeah.
Yes. ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah. Then according to me, it was Sikh fought back successfully to counterattacks. That is straight in the next
Yes,
chapter.
ma'am. That is
Next
yes,
paragraph.
and then
Yeah.
yeah.
That's D.
Yes. Then we have F.
F.
In spite of heavy casualties. Yeah.
It's
That's the last one. No. Second last one.
Yes. The last one is the bodies one.
Yeah. So just a minute, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, that's perfect. So it's just to repeat, would someone just like to repeat for me the order so everybody gets it? Satyam, since you seem to be on top of this.
yes, ma'am. So it should be C
Yeah.
A
Hmm.
E C A E D F B.
Perfect.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Everybody got it? You need Satyam to redo it one more time? No. Great. All right, lovely. Okay, so those were our questions. And
Ma'am,
yes, Rakshita, want to add anything, please?
I had something to share. Completely personal. So the thing is, we read about 18 grenadiers. My dad is from 9 grenadiers. So I wanted to show you guys how important UN mission becomes, okay, after it's done. So this is a grenadier jacket. Every soldier has a tracksuit that is given to him after UN mission is over. So this is a grenadier symbol. Every grenadier unit has the symbol on their uniforms, on the things that they wear on the collar. Basically,
Are you
tells people that
sharing
you're from
something? Because I can't see anything.
Ma'am, it's in my video. I'm holding it up. It's my jacket.
Oh, 1 minute. Sorry. Hey, hold on for me, please. I hate missing stuff. Okay, great. Thank you.
So this is the grenadier symbol, and this is the UN mission symbol. So any unit that goes to UN mission, they get the symbol, and they are so proud.
all right.
They wear it in their uniform for the rest of their lives. So that's how prestigious it gets for a unit to go to UN mission.
Amazing. Amazing. Wow. That's amazing. I love these little bits which they come in and it just gives it a personal touch. And I think it kind of brings it to life for us. Amazing. Thanks, Rakshita. And thank you all for your attention. As you know, next week there is no Monday class. So you can take a break with your mentees. And Avisha, therefore, that gives you all the time you need to finish up whatever was pending. Right? Thanks, everybody. And back to Freyas.
Thank you, Rakshita.
Whoa. Yeah, she matches you. Sweatshirt for sweatshirt.
Just so happened that way because I had spoken at the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. So that's when I was able to get this. So it's just such a coincidence that you showed it today and I was wearing this today. All right, I don't have any announcements or anything to make. Let's close the YouTube live. I need to remember to do this. So